We're going to talk about Greta Thunberg, who is back. She has been released alongside some of the other hostages that Israel took from the Samud flotilla.
Be very clear, there is a genocide going on in front of our very eyes. A live-streamed genocide on all of our phones. No one has the privilege to say we are not aware of what is happening. No one in the future will be able to say we did not know. Under international law, states have a legal obligation to act to prevent and to stop a genocide from happening. That means ending complicity, applying real pressure, and ending arms transfers.
Dude, Nobel has a real opportunity to do something crazy and just give her a peace prize. You know what I mean? We are not
seeing that. We are not even seeing the bare minimum from our governments. The global Samud flotilla was the biggest ever attempt to break Israel's illegal and inhumane siege by sea. And it is a story of global international solidarity, of people stepping up when our governments fail to do so, of people saying that my leaders, so-called leaders who are supposed to represent me, who continue to fuel a genocide, death and destruction, they do not represent me. And this is a last resort, that this mission has to exist. It's a shame. It is a shame. And I could talk for a very, very long time about our mistreatment and abuses in our imprisonment, trust me, but that is not the story. What happened here was that Israel, while continuing to worsen and escalate their genocide and mass destruction with genocidal intent, attempting to erase an entire population, an entire nation in front of our very eyes.
I think it's really interesting how Greta Thunberg breaks people's brains so aggressively, because she basically lives by, like, she does everything. Like, she's exactly the type of person where people will be like, like, if you're such a socialist, why don't you live in a cardboard box? Like, she pretty much does that, right? Oh, if you're such an advocate for a green world, like, why don't you bike everywhere? Okay, she does that. If you love Gaza so much, why don't you go there? She's like, okay, I will. Like, she goes above and beyond. Okay, the Mr. Beast of activism? No, she's not the Mr. Beast of activism. She does things that are not even expected of, like, the average person. Like, she has her own standards and she follows them unconditionally. Like, she was hailed as a hero for years and years because she was a, climate change activist. And a lot of people thought that she was going to be like a easily consumable climate change product, right? That's the reason why she could go to, like, the World Economic Forum or whatever. Yeah, okay, I know. She's a trust fund baby. I don't give a shit, dumbass. Are you going to Gaza and getting apprehended by the Israeli authorities twice? No, so suck my dick. Yeah, it's great. What a wonderful time to be alive that you got trust fund babies engaging in this kind of action. It's so stupid that people do this and say this kind of dumb shit. Greta Thunberg is a hero. She could have made a very comfortable life making Macronic and Obamic platitudes, sharing a stage with the likes of von der Leyen, but she went the opposite difficult path, speaking truth to power and showing up the liberal establishment for what it is. Yeah, she didn't just stick to pro-capitalist, like anti-carbon emissions or carbon emission restrictions. She actually took it one step further, and she openly became an anti-capitalist. That's when the media stopped covering her, or they didn't fully stop covering her, but they were like, that's a little weird. But then once she became an anti-genocide activist, an anti-Zionist, loudly, proudly, boldly, that's when the media started taking a very hostile approach, either never covering her at all, or when they do cover her, covering her in this incredibly snarky fashion. And we saw her development. We saw her political ideologies change. We saw her start recognizing what the real problems were. I mean, she was very young when she started doing activism. And I think that really breaks people's brains. Obviously, she goes above and beyond expectations. She goes above and beyond expectations. And it still doesn't stop people from finding something to on her over, right? It's so crazy.
They once again violated international law by preventing humanitarian aid from getting into Gaza while people are being starved. This genocide and other genocides are being enabled and fueled by our own governments, our institutions, our media and companies. It is our responsibility to end that complicity. And I also... No, not heroes. No, we are doing the bare minimum. What we are doing is not in any way, no one has to come to the rescue of Palestinian people. What we are doing is hearing and acting upon their calls for people all over the world to take action and end our complicity, to use our privileges, our platforms to take a stance against this that is in every way unjustifiable.
The pirates did that with the pirating, and the pirated ships told me she didn't have the aid on the ships. So I believe them because of negative IQ. What? I support Palestine. What is the difference between wartime civilian casualties and genocide, especially when it comes to bombing of civilian areas, just like in London and Berlin? The same in World War II. Great question. Intentionality is a major component here, but also even without the intentionality, if you look at the wartime civilian casualties as opposed to like armed military members, Gaza is magnitudes beyond. There is, from what I understand, without the with the exception of like other genocides, there has never been the same civilian to armed enemy combatant, the same civilian to armed enemy combatant rates. Like the disproportionality of civilian deaths is so severe, so unimaginably severe. It's not a 4-to-1. It's 90%. The ratio for civilians versus armed enemy combatants is 90% civilian. And it's not just that ratio either. The only other time where ratios such as that one has existed is just active genocide. But that ratio is expected when you look at how this quote unquote war is being conducted. It's being conducted against a captive population by the belligerent occupier. It's completely ridiculous. Anyway, they are an unaccountable force, total uncontrollable evil.